What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. Real quick, before we get started, I want to talk about something that's not technically video games, and that is the new trailer for The Disaster Artist. If you have not seen it, go look it up. If you know anything about The Room, which was a cult classic because it's so bad it's funny, it looks like James Franco and Seth Rogen are actually revisiting that and kind of showing how they made it in kind of a comedic sense. I would check it out. It's pretty funny, but now let's get started. The first thing we're going to talk about today is Ubisoft. Yes, apparently in their call yesterday, with investors, all kinds of people, they talk about Switch and how it's doing well for them so far with their reception with the Mario Rabbids. And they make mention that there's some other Switch games that they have yet to announce and that people should be patient. And now everyone's trying to figure out what they're talking about, because of course we hear about Rayman coming out. Great. But what else? I mean, what else are they talking about? We know about Steep. Well, we think we know about Steep. Who knows what's going on there? And then it kind of goes to, well, maybe South Park is getting a port. And this was kind of during the call when Elaine Martinez was talking about the reception for Mario Rabbids, that it was great. And then they go on later in the call to talk about how they don't consider it a AAA title, which I guess you can make an argument for that because it's only for one system and it doesn't have a massive budget. Something like Call of Duty, for example, which will play tons. They'll spend hundreds of million dollars on marketing alone. They're not going to do that with Mario Rabbids, obviously. It's going to be kind of a game that comes out for Switch owners buy it, and they play it. It'll sell well, mostly because Mario's on the front, and that's the way it is. So they don't consider it a AAA, effort in terms of marketing, but it definitely looks so far like a good game. We'll know more about that when we get that in here at Spawnwave Media and we kind of review it and check it out. The person who actually teased these games on the call to investors was none other than the president and chief executive officer, Yves Guillemot, saying, well, more is coming, guys, but you need to be patient. We will be announcing some more Switch games soon, which to me, the next big convention for games where they would announce stuff like that is Gamescom, and that's coming at the end of August over in Europe. So to me, that would be the next logical place to announce any games, especially ones that may make it out in time for the holidays. Even if not, they could still announce them there and kind of push them into next year, early next year. Or maybe they're referencing a Nintendo Direct coming up. There's a couple things that can happen here. It just sounds like, yeah, more games are coming from Ubisoft. Maybe it could be a South Park game. Some people are saying, well, Nintendo doesn't want South Park on their system because it's too adult. To that I say, go look at Binding of Isaac, and it kind of makes South Park look a little tame based on some of the stuff going on in there. So I still think South Park could make the jump. It's up to Ubisoft if they can port it and make it work in time. I say make it work in time, and because I think after so long, I'm talking months, maybe even a year down the line, people may not be as interested in buying it on the Switch because we've already played it on the PS4 and the Xbox One. I'm curious what you guys think, though. What do you think Ubisoft is referencing? Do you think they're talking about a game that has come out in the past that they're porting over, or do you think they're talking about a new IP they haven't announced for anything yet and it's just going to come out on all the systems? Could also be talking about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Who knows? Let me know what you guys think about this one down in the comments. I'm curious. Next up, we're going to talk about the world of mobile games. Specifically, you could say mobile games and desktop games, mostly games you could run in a browser, which is becoming any game, because you could stream them now to a browser, which things like HTML5 and what we've seen now with things like Rainway, how we've seen that. It works on all browsers pretty much. In this case, though, it looks like Yahoo Japan, who is much different than the Yahoo we know in America, because they are actually doing more venture work here. It looks like they're branching out to something that they've now announced called Game Plus, which is a browser-based app store almost. So here's the idea. You have a cell phone, but maybe a game comes out on the Apple App Store, but not your Android one, right? Not your Android App Store. Well, you're in trouble. You can't play it. In this case, though, they're presenting something where all of these apps will be unified. That is the way they want you to look at it. So everything will be under kind of one umbrella, and it is streamed to your phone, to your desktop. You don't download the games at all. You just play them right away when you hit a button. It's interesting. I just don't know how well it's going to catch on when most people have their phone. They just go to the App Store and download the game or the app. But in this case, they have done the correct thing here because they're pulling in big companies, people like Bandai Namco, and apparently Square Enix is going to show up with games like Final Fantasy X. Yes, Final Fantasy X is going to be able to be streamed to your phone or your desktop, and Final Fantasy 13. The other possibility is that the companies that are providing these games may get a bigger share of the profits as opposed to being on like the Apple or the Google Play Store, because they take a good percentage. I've heard it's as much as 30% at times. And in this case, maybe Yahoo Japan is smart enough to say, well, we'll do 20% instead. Bring your stuff over here. You'll make more money. It's also unified. You can sell to desktop users as well, because all they're doing is going through a browser. Doesn't matter what their specs are. You could probably play it on a more ancient, like an Intel Core 2 Duo or something. You could play it fine as long as it can run the browser plugins. So bring it over, you can just sell it to everyone then. Now, currently it's only available in Japan. It's not available outside of Japan. However, I have a feeling if it is successful even a little bit to where they can move some product there, you can be sure that they will be bringing it outside of Japan quickly, because they want to expand this network to people who will buy more and more. And obviously over here in the United States, places in Europe, anywhere, cell phones, laptop computers, everything is popular to the point where people would rather stream them at times. There are certain games that just won't run on most people's computers, but if they find out they have to click a button and it just plays, they don't need to worry about system specs, you might get a little more interested, especially if you can play games like a Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 13 on your tablet that is a little older. Maybe it's like a Tab 2 or something, Galaxy Tab 2, and it doesn't have the newest hardware that like an S8 has. Well, you don't have to worry about it. Either way, very interesting. It's good that they pulled in some big developers here, big publishers. We'll just have to see if it actually catches on and if we ever see it even leave Japan at that point. Next up, we have the developers of Project M. You know that modification to Brawl, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, that made it more like Super Smash Bros. Melee, for example. Well, they apparently decided to branch off and create their own game, and they put a trailer out during EVO 2017 on YouTube. You could check it out, and it didn't get the best reactions from fans. So the game's called Icons Combat Arena, and they're called Wave Dash, and that's the company name. And when they put it out, people started pointing some things out from the trailer. Well, the animations don't look good, some of the moves, and even some of the animations look like they're ripped directly from Super Smash Bros. And the like to dislike ratio, not the best. Not the best at all. In fact, it has 2,000 dislikes currently and 1,100 likes. And that is, that's not good. The comments don't get much better. And it looks like they've at least read through the comments and started to figure out, well, what people want and what people don't want. They've made several quotes to different outlets talking about how they are working to improve it, and what we've seen so far is just the beginning stages of a game that they want to make free to play, but it's in the very early stages, and unfortunately, yes, the animations are not very good right now, and it resembles Super Smash Bros. Melee to the point where it's borderline to where Nintendo may look into shutting it down because it's that similar. Go look at the trailer and let me know what you think, because I think they're borderline here. They're kind of skating the line. Now let me ask you a question. When I say Koei Tecmo, what's the first thing that would come to your mind? You may think Dead or Alive, Dynasty Warriors, Ninja Gaiden, Fine Dining even. Now last one I kind of threw in there because, well, Koei Tecmo is opening a restaurant in Tokyo. Yes, there are even pictures here as reported from Kotaku, who then reported from Game Impress, who took pictures in Tokyo. They're opening their own restaurant that is themed after, kind of like you can see here, Dynasty Warriors, and it's going to be kind of based around the lore. It looks very clean, and they're going to do things like run events out of there, special events before games come out, things like that. And it looks cool. I don't really know why a game company would think to open a restaurant. It seems odd, but there are some cool things that could happen here if they do it right. I noticed that there is absolutely no games anywhere other than just like the posters and the lore of their games, but there's no like there's no PlayStation 4s or PS3s or something set up for people to play on. And I think the idea is they just want it to be themed that way, and when a game comes out, maybe they will make a big deal about it, have an event where you can come and play games early that aren't out yet. But I'm curious, because this got me thinking, what's a restaurant that you would like to see open under your favorite company? Is there a certain company that you would like to see open a restaurant? Maybe you'd like to see a Square Enix restaurant, you know? Maybe you'd like to see a Halo restaurant. I'm curious what you would like to see in terms of a restaurant you could walk in, sit down, and it's themed after your favorite publisher. And the last bit of news I'm going to leave you guys here with is from that Ubisoft conference call. We're going to jump back to what we talked about kind of in the beginning, but it's about something a little different. See, we've talked about the digital era kind of taking over on this channel for the past couple months as we've gone along, how I've seen personally physical media start to kind of die out firsthand at certain stores I would work at occasionally. In this case, though, it looks like we are on that upward trend. And Ubisoft kind of, they kind of reinforced that thought here on their conference call where they said that 80%, yes, 80% of their total revenue for this first fiscal quarter was made up of digital sales. The other 20% physical sales. So yes, it looks like the digital era is going to be upon us much sooner than you think. That's actually up 5% from the previous quarter. So it is like a 5% jump most quarters now. So we're looking at possibly, I'm not going to say it's going to plateau obviously for a little while, but we may be seeing sooner than we think, guys, where we don't have disc-based or card-based media. You just download everything. Is that so bad? You know, it's bad for people who want to preserve games that don't want the servers to get shut down or to the point where you can't get a game because the servers aren't around for you to retrieve the data from. I like physical media personally. I like collecting it. It's going to be kind of, to me, a dark day when we have no more physical-based media to download. I just hope that doesn't happen anytime soon. I know it's not going to be the PlayStation 5, the Xbox 2, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe the generation after. Maybe we really are 10 years from not having a physical media to go into a store and buy from. What does GameStop do then? Who knows? And that's it for Newswave today, guys. Make sure you comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let me think about any of the stuff we talked about today, whether it is the Ubisoft games for the Switch that apparently are kind of mystery games right now that they haven't announced. Are we getting a port of South Park? Is there some other port coming that we don't know about? Or are they talking about new IPs that have just not been announced yet that are going to all platforms, a big multi-platform game? I'm curious what your thoughts are there, what your best guess is, really. I think South Park makes the most sense, but, I mean, who knows at this point? It could be anything, really. Also, let me know think about the restaurant situation. I'm curious who your favorite publisher or game creator, game series even, would be for a restaurant-themed idea. You could get pretty crazy, I think, with these and come up with some cool ideas down in the comments. And then, really let me know about this digital age coming up, because it looks like Ubisoft is getting very close to really just not needing physical media at all if 80% of their revenue is made of digital sales. Who knows where they'll be in 5 years, 6 years even. That's it now, guys. I'll see you next time.